what do you mostly work with buyers, sellers, both?
I think it's important to be flexible.
What are the common mistakes you see people make most when buying or selling commercial real estate?
Not using an agent.
What's a lesson that's made you like the biggest difference in your business?
The biggest lesson, both success story and regret for my clients, would be when they got into owning commercial property.
What have you seen is the most, I guess, clever way to invest in commercial real estate?
I'm a big fan of triple net leases.
What is the most used app on your phone, would you say?
This time of the year, it's by far ESPN Fantasy Football app.
Honey, who are we gonna get to help us move?
I'll see if Brad can give us a hand. Hey Brad, what you doing, buddy? Well, we're moving today and I was wondering if you could help us out.
I'd rather wax the hair off my head. No. I'd rather go 10 rounds with Mike Tyson. Oh my gosh. I'd rather let my dog...
Friends don't want to help you move. Call Miracle Movers, and we'll take the pain and stress of moving off your hands.
Welcome to The Closing Table. It's the podcast where we talk with Utah's top real estate professionals and have them share their stories, strategies, and behind-the-scene hustle that leads to big wins in the market. I am so pleasured to have Anthony Borba here. He's a commercial real estate guru, and just thank you so much for coming on.
Happy to be here, Landon. You're always good people to spend time with.
Yeah. So how did your journey into real estate begin?
Oh, that was kind of a fun one. I owned a small business back in 2017, and my first client owned a residential brokerage in 100 doors. And once he saw my work ethic and communication skills, he said, he's like, you got to come work with me. So he kind of took me under his wing, taught me how to be an agent. From there, I've always tried to think big about things. I have some big goals, and I decided that I didn't want to do 100 deals a year. I wanted to do a few big ones. So I moved into the commercial sector.
Yeah. Some of these deals in commercial, you'd have to sell a massive house. That is probably a normal deal in commercial. Warehouses, offices, stuff like that. And we're all about volume too. I'd rather have fewer number of larger sales than a ton of tiny transactions, right?
I'm definitely a quality over quantity.
For sure. So what kind of, do you mostly work with buyers, sellers, both?
I think it's important to be flexible. I think there is opportunities in every market. So when the market is down, I love working with buyers who are looking for opportunities for their dollar to go farther. When the market is up, I love working with sellers to capture as much appreciation as they can to get top dollar for their property. So right now we're kind of in an in-between. Mm-hmm. So there's opportunities for buyers and there's opportunities for sellers. So
yeah, I obviously, as somebody that needs commercial real estate, I've always kept my eyes on things, and it seems like the market's been pretty, I don't know if overinflated is the right term for that, but I think it's been starting to come down and things have been starting to become a little bit more affordable. Would you say that that's common, or I don't know, what do you see?
It's hard to say, because will you think the market is overinflated these last 5 years, 10 years from now is the question.
Probably not.
So that's, if you have a 5-year mindset, prices got to their peak. They came down a little bit in 2024, so you're right. There's an opportunities for buyers to get in, but most professionals in my industry see things going way back up, especially after the 2030 Olympics. We see a lot of eyes on Utah and how amazing of a state is.
Yeah. I think Park City was just a quiet little sleepy mining town before 2002, right? We saw what happened up there.
Yeah.
And with residential, do you see the same trends with residential and commercial, or are they like two separate beasts?
Typically, commercial properties will follow about 3 years behind what the residential market is doing. We started seeing prices come down a tiny bit in the residential sector about 2022-ish.
When those interest rates went to
And
7%.
And we saw about 2021, 2022, and we saw that in 2024 in the commercial sector. So now we're seeing residential's actually gone up about 5% in Utah from what it was 1 year ago. So
Okay.
we'll probably see commercial going back up soon. We already have in some asset class types.
Sure.
So retail, after COVID, I could have saved clients hundreds of thousands of dollars if they would have taken the risk during COVID when things were shut down. But now we're seeing people want to be out, going to restaurants. They enjoy going shopping and feeling clothes as much as everyone thought that online shopping was going to kill a brick and mortar. It's not the case. Retail is the highest asset class, highest demand, highest price per square foot. Most restaurants for sale now are over $500 a square foot.
Dang.
So,
Okay. Well, that's good to know. I wasn't sure which asset class was probably the most desirable. So if anybody's in retail, it's time to invest now. It's like, I guess my next question is really like, do you specialize in creative deal making in terms of helping people who think that buying commercial property is out of reach or not possible, or because I'm sure there's a lot of business owners that are like, I could never afford to buy my building.
yeah, I'm very much the optimistic type. I do believe where there's a will, there's a way. So if there's a problem, there's probably a way to overcome it. The SBA is an amazing asset to business owners. Most commercial deals, if you do a conventional financing, they want you to come in with 20, 30, 40% down, which is a lot of money for anything over $1 million, let alone $3, $4, $5 million. That's quite a big down payment.
Yeah.
So the SBA allows a business owner to come in with 10% down, which is helpful for a lot of businesses. There's also seller financing that not everyone knows about. It's really just whatever is agreed upon in writing is with the seller, between the buyer and the seller, is what you can do. So you could do 5% down. You can do lower interest rates. You can do quite a bit of creative things.
Yeah.
And the seller financing can be win-win for both the buyer and the seller, because the buyer obviously wants to have a lower interest rate. 7%, 8% on, $1 million+ properties is quite a big chunk.
Sure.
And the seller oftentimes doesn't exactly want to sell their property just to buy something else that's also priced high. So the seller financing can be win-win for the seller because they can collect a monthly payment from the buyer, so they can get some cash flow going, but they can also collect some interest on top of that. And then they don't have to place their money into another property, say you would if you 1031 exchanged it. They don't have to place that money so Uncle Sam doesn't tax them on the proceeds of their sale until the note is due, which is typically 20, 25 years down the line.
Yeah. So that's the typical like loan. I guess obviously you can set it to whatever you want, and we're really getting into a lot of financing and stuff here, but I'm sure there's many different terms that you can do for a commercial deal. What are the common mistakes you see people make most when buying or selling commercial real estate?
Not using an agent. That is a big one. There's quite a bit of horror stories about someone trying to save 3% of the sale transaction or of the total amount of lease, which is often what an agent the brokerage fees are. They try to save a tiny bit of money and end up hurting themselves massively down the line.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's one example a colleague of mine uses that's just a horror story. There was a landlord who leased to a tenant for 20 years and didn't want to pay an agent to help with the deal, and didn't quite know exactly what market rates are because they change so quickly per asset class.
Yeah.
Each one changes differently, shifts up and down depending on the week, especially per quarter, and leased to a tenant for 20 years at half of what market rate was. And now they want to sell the building, but the income of the property is half of what it could be at market rate, and they're stuck with a property that's underperforming and no investor would touch because they have a tenant that controls the property for the next 20 years.
Okay. Yeah, that's not using. I couldn't imagine selling like something. I would always use a realtor. Like even signing leases, I've always had somebody to write up the lease agreement and look at everything. I've never done anything real estate by myself because I know that is not my specialty, and so I always need that guidance. And so, what's a wild and unforgettable story in your time in real estate? I know that's a loaded question, but if you can think of anything that's like, this was nuts.
I don't think it's nuts because it's very common in our industry. When someone's worked their way up to the point where they can afford a commercial property, appreciation does what appreciation does, and oftentimes it is go up. So I just love helping clients pick up a property. We picked one up it sold for 1.4 and within a year sold for $2 million. And to help a client put $500,000 in their bank for 6 months worth of hold time is quite a fun achievement. You know,
That's
I love
huge.
seeing people be successful.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge because from a business owner standpoint, that chunk of real estate is the biggest asset you have in valuing. If you ever go to sell your business, the space is more oftentimes the biggest asset in the deal if you ever even sell your business.
Yeah, I do run into quite a bit of business owners who don't want to sell their property without selling their business because they've put 30, 40 years into building this business. But oftentimes someone that can afford a commercial property already has a business and they don't need the detailing business or the upholstery business.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Yeah. I mean, what's a lesson that's made you like the biggest difference in your business?
are we talking for real estate agents? Are we talking who is the lesson supposed to help?
Either you or your clients, and this can all be edited too.
I would say the biggest lesson, both success story and regret for my clients, would be when they got in to owning commercial property. My clients who understood that commercial note is financially daunting often, that took the leap and got into a commercial property, they are just wildly grateful that they did so. I'm happy to read you testimonials from clients who are, their exact words are, "We're so glad we got in when we did." So yeah, I think that with a long-term mindset, you're not going to regret buying a property.
Yeah.
I think that selling a property can also be beneficial to people. I'm of the opinion if you can hold on to your property and lease it out forever.
Yeah.
That is a good hands-off income producer. There's income producing properties that I just think that people should be spending as much time with their family as possible, because we only have one life. We should be doing the things we love, not slaving away to a 9 to 5. So, but oftentimes people like to size up. So I'll help them sell one property to move into a better investment that is producing more income. So, yeah.
So here's something I've been researching heavy a lot lately. So here at our facility, we have probably a third of an acre out there of unpaved. It's dirt, right? And it's full. There's 17 parking spots, and truckers and people park their equipment there. They pay the rent or they pay a monthly lease to park there, and literally all it is a dirt lot. And so I'm like, man, how do I explore this further? I've been looking at large dirt lots that I could fence and put maybe like a code for a gate or something like that. And it's just like, it requires very little attention, very little work, very little effort, and just little stuff like that I think about constantly, where it's, I don't ever believe in like free money. Passive income is really tough unless you have millions of dollars in stocks and dividends and stuff like that. But like, that's probably the most passive thing that I could think of in terms of the amount of work it takes to get a return on your investment. And so just me shooting out there, that's something I was thinking about.
I love land. I know of a couple of acres that are going to be coming for sale soon that I'll talk to you about off of Redwood Road.
Yeah.
But I love land simply for the fact that they're not making more of it. So, land leasing is definitely a thing. It's a tougher asset to lease, but yes, something I do work with.
Okay. Yeah. If you know of any land next to any type of place with large gatherings, like parking lots, like, oh my gosh.
That is a struggle with specifically in Salt Lake County.
Is it?
Parking is an issue because you need a certain amount of parking spaces per 1,000 square feet of building for different zonings. So typically, if we're talking like a gathering space, like you're speaking, typically you'll need 3 or 4 parking stalls per 1,000 square foot leased or occupied in the building. So to get your business license. So parking can be difficult because most people, when they're thinking of building a building, are thinking, I need as much building as I can build in order to get as much income or usable square footage out of this space. But per planning and zoning commissions, you have to have parking for people to be able to use that property. So you got to be, it's tough because anyone that sees an acre of land that could have a parking lot on it for a building next to it is going to see an acre of land where they can have a building.
Sure.
So it's a real balancing act of.
What have you seen is the most, I guess, clever way to invest in commercial real estate? Where if you're like, well, this is something that I would do, right?
I'm a big fan of triple net leases, which you'll often see in industrial or retail sectors.
Yeah.
So a triple net lease, as I'm sure you're aware, the N stands for a different thing, such as property taxes is one of the N's. And there's also the things like landscaping, snow removal is one of the N's.
Yeah.
So the utilities is another one. So to own a property where all you have to pay for is the maintenance of the roof and the walls is a good investment, because if you lease it out for 5 years and the heater goes out, the tenant is in charge of replacing the heater. If the toilet leaks, you don't get a call in the night saying, hey, my toilet's overflooding, I need you to call a plumber.
Yeah.
The tenant needs to take care of that.
Yeah.
So, and business owners are often going to take care of the property because it represents their business. No one wants to walk into a business with, windows broken, anything like that. It's a liability concern for the business owner. So they often take care of them. So they take care of your property.
Yeah.
And then there's a good chance you're going to talk to them 6 months before the lease expiration, and they're going to extend their lease.
Yeah.
So with, annual rental increases that are built into every good lease, you're going to maybe not always keep up with inflation, but at least be generating consistent increases in your income.
Yeah.
And let's say the property taxes goes up, well, so do the triple net fees for your
Yeah.
tenant. So
Oh yeah, we are on the receiving end
Sure.
of the triple net currently, and I would love to be on the landlord side of
Sure.
the triple net. So no, I
and
love
it can often be about sixes between leasing and owning. Sometimes the barrier to owning is just that down payment.
Yeah.
So
Well, and we talked earlier, right? And so the other day, and I said, well, it's coming in hot, year and a half, so we'll get to chatting about that. What I like to do next is what I call our rapid fire round, where I ask you quick questions and you give me your best quick answers. The first one is, what's your favorite local lunch spot after a long showing day?
I would say Chunga's. I think Chunga's Tacos has some of the best El Pastor I've ever had in my life. It's kind of a lesser known taco shop in Utah, and they do this taco box just full of mini tacos for $20
What?
that I'll often get and take to when I meet up with my friends or something like that. So
All right, shout out to Chunga's. I need to check it out.
I like Chunga's a lot.
So how does having a network of business owners help you in your business?
Oh, it's very important. My clients often need builders. If they buy some land and want to build a building, they often need landscapers, or they need snow removed in the winters, cleaners. And just recently, I had a owner of a restaurant and some acreage behind it say, I've been wanting to sell my building for a while, but I'm so stressed out about the move. And I actually mentioned your company. I said, well, I have a very trusted moving company, Miracle Movers, that if we're going to get you a solid chunk for selling your property, why not use some of that money to make your life easier, less stress-free, get rid of some of this anxiety about the move, and hire professionals.
Yeah,
don't-
no, for sure. I mean, commercial relocations are nuts, right? Like, I don't want to leave this building just because that means I have to move everything in here, and we're set up for it. And I'm still like, it's a lot.
I've worked with companies that it's literally millions of dollars to be shut down for 3 to 6 weeks to move their heavy equipment to another property. So hiring a company that can cut that down would save them tons of money. So, yeah.
Yeah, we understand that every day of being shut down is, depending on the size of the company, could be an astronomical amount of money, right? So try to do everything to make it as seamless as possible and minimize downtime.
So I'm grateful to know companies like yours.
Yeah. What's your dream vacation when you finally get to unplug? Either somewhere you've been or somewhere you're like dreaming of going and unplugging completely.
One of my life goals was to travel the world, so I've had quite a few beautiful vacations. I've been to give or take 21 countries and territories, so I've met some amazing people in some amazing places, and each time it's been different from like why I enjoyed it. Like so I think European countries were beautiful for the scenery, the churches. I thought Some of the Asian countries I've been to were incredible for some of their, like Southeast Asia, for their beaches and the food. I've gotten a lot of my travel lust out of me in my young age. I'm getting a little bit older, and so I think I'm gonna take a little different tact on the question and tell you what my dream life would be, because my dream life is a vacation. I love that I get to schedule my time to do what I want when I want, and at this time I don't want to be in other countries. I love Utah so much. I just want to be in a little cabin by the river, and that would be waking up to a vacation life to me. So
That's amazing.
that's what I'm working towards right now.
I love that. What is the most used app on your phone, would you say?
This time of the year, it's by far ESPN Fantasy Football app.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm a commissioner of a work league where I got different business owners in my league, and it's a lot of fun because my job is dependent upon speaking to business owners and also investors and property owners. So if I can get them together in a fun way where I get to talk to them every week, it's a really good time. So last week I beat a gentleman with season tickets to the 49ers games.
Ooh.
So he's taking me to a Niners game because I beat him. I encourage betting each week.
It makes it interesting. Yeah.
And I also have a family league, and it's the only time of the year I get to speak to like 10 other different family members. Each week in the group chat, we're dropping, disses on the Raiders and talking up our players that did well. So it's just a lot of fun. And
Good. Well, good. That's amazing. What's your favorite way to recharge outside of work?
that one's a tough one to just pick one. Can I give you three?
Of course, yeah.
I'm a beach volleyball player.
Okay.
So I enjoy being in the sand with my friends so much. It's cardio, it's technique, it's the most social sport I've ever played.
Yeah.
And a lot of my friends come from the sports I've done in my lifetime, martial arts and American football. And so it's the most social sport I've ever played. And there's quite a bit of successful people that play it. You know, I was in the sand one time and I was chatting with one guy about what he does for income. He's like, oh yeah, we own 300 apartment units and we're looking to pick up another 120. Can you help me with that? You know, say less.
I got you. Say no more.
But I also love being in Mother Nature. So by a river, Utah has amazing fall leaf foliage going on right now. And I love books. I love every single morning I read a book, surrounded by my houseplants, just drinking copious amounts of coffee.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's how I like to recharge.
That's one hell of a morning routine. I love it. So, real quick, how can people connect with you if they want to buy, sell, or follow your journey?
Ooh, I think shooting me an email would be the best way. Anthony Borba CRE, like commercial real estate, at gmail.com would be the best way to reach out. I'd love to talk to you about the different opportunities in Utah.
Fantastic. And thanks again for joining us today. If you're in real estate and you're a professional and you're ready to come visit me on the closing table, shoot me a message. And if you want to work with a mover who treats your clients like family, you know where to find us. I'm Landon with Miracle Movers. We'll see you on the next episode.